Welcome back. South African universities are owed 9.3 billion rand in unpaid student debt. This has been the amount owed by hundreds of thousands of students since 2023. Joining us is Dr. Phethiwe Matutu, who's the CEO of Universities of South Africa. Doc, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this afternoon. A staggering 9.3 billion rand that is owed by students, a figure that's expected to still be on the rise. How serious is the scourge of unpaid debt by students in our universities?
Serious, Katleho. Thanks for having me. And good afternoon to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika. It is a serious issue that needs to be managed very carefully by universities together with the public of South Africa and the students themselves.
Who's most affected by the student debt?
All universities are affected, but some more than others, depending on the number of students that they accommodate and the socioeconomic levels that the students come from. Because this debt is largely ascribed to the so-called missing middle students whose household income is above 350,000, and hence they do not qualify for NSFAS bursaries, and at the same time cannot afford to pay for their fees and below 600,000.
So a significant number of this debt does come from that missing middle that you're speaking of, Doc. Is it possible that in the near future we'll be able to shift that threshold of that 350,000 rands to cater for this missing middle? Because many of them are black students that are willing to go to university, that are capable, but that are unable purely because they sit within that missing middle that you make mention of.
Fortunately, government has offered them loans this year. It's the first year that this has happened, and with the funding from the National Skills Fund, it's being administered by NSFAS. So hopefully, as time goes on, more of such students would apply to NSFAS for these loans.
And how much of those funds have been made available for the missing middle?
I think they cover more or less the tuition together with accommodation. I don't know what the maximum is for those students, but the only problem that I'm envisaging right now is that the number seems to be quite small of those who applied. They're talking about 19,000 applications, and I would imagine that they are likely to be more than that. So I think as time goes on, more students will be aware of this opportunity and take it.
I think that was my question to you, to say, would you attribute that to a lack of an awareness by students to know that these funds are available for them to apply for in order for them to be able to further their studies? With regards to the 9.3 billion, are you looking to recover any of it?
The total amount which was owed in 2023 was 21.7 billion for universities. So this 9.3 billion is what is considered to be recoverable, with a 12.4 billion considered not to be fully recoverable. So the 9.3 billion is considered to be recoverable, with then 12.4 considered not to be fully recoverable.
And what would that impact be of that 12.4 being unrecoverable? What impact would it have on universities and students themselves?
It has a negative impact in that when universities budget at the beginning of the year, the expectation is that they are likely to fully get the funds that they've budgeted for. So on the basis of that, they determine what the fees should be, and they get their subsidy from government and their third stream income. When these funds do not get there, depending on the university, they may start to budget and also spend the funds that they do not have. So year on year, it's possible that they may accumulate debt. And once that debt becomes irrecoverable, it depends on the extent of that debt, because at some stage it's possible to get bankrupt. So the expectation is still that the funds will be recoverable. Beyond a certain limit, there's bankruptcy which follows.
Right. I mean, you spoke of the interventions of funding the missing middle. Any policy interventions that you think are needed in order to curb that trend of not it continuing?
The policy interventions are likely to vary, and this being one of them. When government decides to offer loans, that is another way. Some of the governments have decided to cap the tuition fees, some with positive results and others with negative results. So it's important that one looks at their context and decide on whether the capping of the fees is something which is possible within this context that we have within the country.
And of the 26 public universities, which are most affected by this debt?
The universities which are most affected are those who constitute a huge number of students, and also students who are from low socioeconomic backgrounds. So you'll find out that vets, for instance, their debt is not as much as other institutions, because I think previously of the students that they were able to attract. But now you'll find out that universities of technology, for instance, are very much affected because of the big numbers, and also students from low socioeconomic backgrounds, universities such as UJ, some universities from rural settings. So they are hugely affected by the debt.
All right, Dr. Matutu, and of course, the impact on those students who are unable to pay for their tuition in order for them to finish their qualifications is also quite a concerning factor. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That's Dr. Phethiwe Matutu, the CEO of University South Africa, telling us there that about 12.4 billion rand will be irrecoverable of that student debt.